When I'm talking about the Western occult tradition, I mean all the traditions that have influenced the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, and even Wicca today. So let's take a look at the development of the Western tradition, going back to about 2300 BCE, that's before the Common Era, when we had pagan beliefs. We had astrology in the Middle East. We had the earliest recordings of alchemy as metallurgy. We had the resurgence of alchemy. And when we look back before 2000 BCE, when we see the polytheistic traditions, which are the prehistoric paganism, we see the Baltic Slavic traditions, the Kemetic tradition, the Hellenic tradition, Roman tradition, Celtic tradition, Germanic tradition. All of these ancient prehistoric pagan polytheistic beliefs had the concept of the divine with the magical, meaning that there was magic in the divine and humans were capable of tapping into this divine source, this magical source, and use this for their own control to aid themselves in the hunt, aid themselves in childbirth, by praying and connecting with their various deities who usually had different various spheres of influence. So, for example, in the Roman pantheon, you had many different Roman gods. In the Hellenic, which is the Greek, you had a lot of various Greek gods, and the same thing with Celtic, Germanic, and Kemetic. Around 2000 BCE, we have the rise of monotheism in the Middle East, namely Judaism. About 1500, we have Zoroastrianism, and about 0 BCE to about 32 Common Era, we have the rise of Christianity. From about 32 CE to the present, we have the rise of Christianity and monotheistic beliefs and the decline of prehistoric paganism. Looking back at the Western occult traditions, between 1000 CE and about 1888, so for about 900 years, we have a lot of esoteric and mystic thought. We have the Picatrix, we have the Clavica Solomonis, which is the Lesser Key of Solomon, and then we have later on, we have the 3 books of occult philosophy by Cornelius Agrippa. We also have the influence into the Western culture around 1200, 1300 CE of the Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. Around 1403, we have the Rosicrucian order. Now, the Rosicrucian order, even today, is a non-religious organization. They help people to connect with their own idea of the divine. A lot of people in the Rosicrucian order are even atheistic or do not have any religious beliefs. Later on, around 1717, Common Era, we have the Freemasons. We have the Ancient Order of the Druids in 1781. 1888, we have the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which again today is still a non-religious order. Now, it's very important for us to understand that during this period of 1100 to about 1888, or for about 900 years, Christianity reigned as the supreme religion in Europe. If you lived in Europe during this time, you were a Christian, period. There was no question about it. Your landlord was Christian, the people you worked with were Christian, your family members were Christians, your social group was Christian. So even if you had alternate beliefs, even if you were studying esoteric material, and possibly if you had any kind of pagan leanings or you had atheistic leanings, you still put on the front as being a Christian. So any writings that you are developing during this time are going to have Christian influence, whether you are actually a Christian who believes in believes in Christianity or not. After about the 1900s, we get the rise of Thelema, which is a religion in itself. We also have the rise of neo-paganism, mainly Wicca and Neo-Druidism, which are still pulling upon the roots of the old pagan beliefs from the cultures of the Baltic, Slavic, Kemetic, Hellenic, Roman, Celtic, and Germanic prehistoric polytheistic pagan religion. The influence that these various orders had upon Wicca, it would be the operative forms of whatever contribution they gave, and not the religious standings. Because again, these orders, the Rosicrucian order, the Hermetic order, the Golden Dawn, were non-religious. Even the Freemasons, although the Freemasons have a belief in a single deity, the God as the architect, they are still thought of as a non-religious order, meaning that any religious background are welcome as a Freemason. They do not necessarily have to have any particular religious leaning. Coming back to the modern day, we have ceremonialists who are Rosicrucians, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, other ceremonial magicians who are non-religious. We have hedge witchery, which encompasses the various family traditions, basically the non-Wiccan witch practices, again, which are non-religious, or they can be based upon neo-pagan beliefs. We have Druidism, again, which is non-religious, or it can be based upon neo-pagan beliefs. Wicca tends to, although maybe not every single Wiccan is of neo-pagan belief, but the majority of them are. So, when we look at the differences between the ceremonialist magicians, the hedge witches, and Wicca, we can see that ceremonialists are non-religious, hedge witches are non-religious, or they can be religious based upon pagan religion. Wicca tends to be a pagan or Wiccan belief. Ceremonialists, it's a craft or practice of magic, does not necessarily observe holidays. They focus mainly on Kabbalah, Hebrew names, characters. It's highly ritualized. There are many degrees. There's a ritual structure. There's tools. There's an initiation. Hedge witches tend to be non-religious. They have a craft or practice of magic. They do not necessarily observe the holidays. Some do observe seasonal cycles. They have a low level of ritual. They tend to have no degrees. Tools are very basic. The ritual structure is minimal or nil. They practice witchcraft. They may include other practices. There are some that are non-initiated, or there can be some that are initiated. Wicca, on the other hand, is a religion. It celebrates Esbeth and Sabbats. There is a coven which is polytheistic. They have specific god and goddess forms. Their ritual structure is specific, creates ritual space between worlds to protect and contain. They consecrate with elements. They invite guardians or elements based on the tradition. There is a specific god and goddess forms. They do practice witchcraft. There are specific and necessary tools for work. There are non-initiated, initiated, and solitary practitioners of Wicca. So I hope you've enjoyed this series on Western occultism, and this is just a very brief introductory to it. I'm hoping to have more later on, but this kind of gives you a good idea of the timeline and some of the developments of the Western occult tradition.